I have made a tutorial previously on how to sell blank books on Amazon KDP, and I discovered that a lot of you guys resonated with it. So today I am going to put my own advice to test. So for this video, there's not going to be any fancy tools, no paid software, no complicated keyword research. In fact, I gave myself just 1 hour to create, design, and publish a completely blank book. And then I waited to see if anybody anywhere in the world would actually buy it. Sounds crazy, right? But the thing is that people actually do buy these books.
I've made over $1.5 million in actual royalties with Amazon KDP.
I made $315,000 in just 1 month with Amazon KDP.
I started publishing on Amazon KDP in 2018, and I've made multiple six figures publishing books.
Whether it's journals, whether it's planners, sketchbooks, in fact, there are some sellers who make thousands every month off what is essentially nothing. So I set out on this challenge. Can I go from idea to bookshelf using only free resources? And can I actually earn money from it as quick as possible? So before I dive in, this is more of like a social experience, a way to show you whether or not this method still works, especially if you are just starting right now on KDP. So grab your tea or coffee, or if you're like me, grab dates. So the clock started ticking and I immediately ran into my first problem. I had set my timer 60 minutes to create a blank book, and of course the first stop is Canva, and I'm going to be using the free version, even though I have a paid plan, but every element, every template I'm going to be using is going to be a free version, of course. So I went with a simple journal, which is what I'll be doing for the blank book that I will be creating, and it's going to be 120 pages with, of course, a lined interior so that people who are buying these books have at least a line to write on. Nothing fancy, just clean and minimal. Because here's the thing, in real sense, simplicity actually sells. When you come to think of it, people aren't just buying blank books for the fun of it. They want a space to actually write on it. And this is what we are going to be leveraging on. So I wanted to speed things up by searching what I wanted on Canva, but I realized Canva doesn't actually have a lined interior template size for 6 by 9 inches, which is like what a lot of creators use when it comes to blank books journal on KDP, and which was like my first detour. So what I had to do is I had to do everything manually. I went to KDP Help Topics to get the appropriate margin for my 6 inches by 9 inches blank book, because that was my dimension. I created a custom page on Canva and I set out my margin based on what KDP had advised. Now, I had to manually create the book lines, align them, and duplicate them on 120 pages. And after 30 minutes of deep Canva therapy, I had my interior ready. So I downloaded that as a PDF print using RGB, because that's the free option on Canva, and saved it to my system. And the next stop was to create the book cover. Now, this is where I could have gone wild with designs. But remember, this is a challenge and I just have an hour. So I went to the KDP cover calculator to get the exact KDP dimensions and the templates to use. I created my cover page in Canva and I went with a clean, simple aesthetic. Just added a little bit of motivational title like Daily Thoughts Journals. And of course, I then downloaded it, the same PDF print, RGB, and sent into my computer. And the next thing that I did was to upload it to Amazon. I then went to Amazon KDP. I created a paperback because using paperback is more cost effective, especially when we're starting out as an absolute beginner on KDP. I filled in my book title, inserted the necessary keywords, and of course the necessary things that needed to be filled as requested by KDP. Given that journals is some sort of a niche that is widely competitive, I wanted to have a larger chance of ranking better. So I utilized much more specific keywords in ranking my journals. And because it is a blank book, which means it's a low content book, I had to tick the low content book option here so that KDP can be well aware that we are publishing a low content book. Now, one very cool part that I love about the upload process is the pricing part. So I went ahead to price my blank book at $250. Nah, just kidding. I priced it at $5.99 after looking at similar blank books within the same category or sub-niche that I have done mine on, and this left us with this amount of royalty. Which, if you think of it, is not actually bad for a book with absolutely nothing in it. Now, after 52 minutes of all the brainstorm and all the back and forth, I finally hit upload on KDP. But another thing came up that totally ruined the phone. The KDP account froze. Like, it just kept spinning and spinning like a wheel of doom. In fact, I refreshed it about 1 million times, after which eventually it gave me the option to log in again. And at this point, I was like, please don't do this to me. Eventually, with just 3 minutes on the clock, I managed to resubmit everything and I quickly hit the publish button. Now, was it perfect? No. But was it done? Yes. And that is the beauty of KDP when you are starting out as a beginner. You do not need to be the best designer or the best writer. You just need to hit publish. But make sure that your book has some level of value that your prospective customer would expect to find inside. So now that I've uploaded on KDP, I could finally pour myself some wine. I thought I was going to be rich by day 3, so I started looking up the price of a Lamborghini. But KDP had other plans. In fact, the next phase was totally out of my hands. Amazon had to approve the book. Now, if you aren't aware, it takes Amazon about 72 hours to get your book published on the Amazon website. That means even after you fully upload your book and click publish, it doesn't immediately publish on the Amazon website, and Amazon has to vet it for standard and all the quality checks there is. And this was the exact part that I was sitting in. I kept refreshing my KDP dashboard like I was waiting for an exam result. Every single minute. Day 1 passed and the book was still in review. Day 2, and the book was still in review. Day 3, I was super excited when I got the notification that my book was finally published. And now it is time to get the real test, which is, would anybody from anywhere in the world look at my book and click on buy? Now, I took the link for my book on Amazon and posted it in some platforms like Pinterest and Medium. I made sure to give some value first with regards to journaling and why journaling is important and helps you stay organized. Some productivity tips, sort of that kind of thing. And I subtly linked in my journal. Now, I did not make use of any ads, no promotion, no paid traffic. It was simply and absolutely just organic reach. Now, it is day 4 after actually publishing my book, and I still have 0 sales. Day 5, I checked my earnings report like I just won the lottery. But guess what? Still 0. But on day 6, something changed. I got the notification, 2 paperbacks sold, with my royalty sitting there looking at me. It was not much, but it actually felt like a full paycheck. And in day 7 to day 14, 2 more copies were sold. And of course, the total royalties by the end of 30 days was this. Now, I know, it is not enough to buy a Lamborghini, but remember, I spent $0 at just 1 hour to research my blank book idea, to create it, and to publish it on Amazon. So the question is, are blank books still worth it right now? Now, if we should begin to talk about numbers, from my experience, I did 1 book, 1 hour, $0 spent, and this amount earned in just the first month. Realistically, that is not much, but if you should multiply that by 10 books, 20 books, or even 50 books, you can now start to see the magic, meaning that you may not exactly make that thousands of dollars on a single book, but by the time you replicate them into different books appealing to a different subset of people, then cumulatively you stand a chance to start earning way much more, even as a beginner. And the best part is that these books are evergreen, whether it's journals, whether it's planners, sketchbooks, people buy them all round, and which makes them in demand and something that you can easily leverage on. And once you upload them, they are there for good. So for beginners, I honestly think that blank books are one of the best ways to start earning online with Amazon KDP, as there is no writing required, you do not need any special design skills, and you can utilize free tools like Canva with an upfront risk of 0 because you do not need to make any prior investment to get it launched out. So if you are a total beginner and you are thinking of creating blank books to sell on Amazon, then I have attached a much more detailed step-by-step tutorial on how you can create, publish a blank book and sell it on Amazon KDP. To do that, you want to click the video you see on your screen right now and watch the full tutorial. Ciao.